I'll begin by introducing myself. I hope this will be interesting for you. It's fascinating for me, anyway. For 15 years, I've been a corporate lawyer at one of Israel's largest law firms. Aspires to grow to be like Herzog over there in the logo, but always kind of a couple firms behind, Arnon Tadmor Levy. But we like ourselves. We've been doing well. I've worked with over 500 startups from inception through to wherever they get to in the startup nation. I was fortunate to come out of the Army technology unit with friends who became very successful entrepreneurs. So my careers spiked faster than, I would say, a normal career, thanks to my founders, my clients. But I've experienced the legal profession with a certain level of entrepreneurial spirit. And because I come from Israel, and this is something that we sometimes do, I've experienced the professional service of corporate law as a war. And we use a lot of military rhetoric all the time. And the war that I've experienced is a war between professional service providers on the right and their clients on the left. And I say professional service providers on purpose, not just lawyers. I see all of them around me, bankers, management advisory companies, accountants, etc. And there is a war going on. And the war revolves around the value of the professional service deliverable. And I'm trying to think about how I'm supposed to survive this war, because I'm 41 and I still have a couple of decades that I want to work at least and do well. And when thinking about the future, or I guess when you try to be entrepreneurial, you try to take on a role of thinking about what the future holds rather than solving your current problems. Solving your current problems might be improving your P&L, lowering costs. That's something that a lot of law firms do, but I think that big corporations fail in predicting the future. So one of the things that I try to do is, first of all, predict how the hell I'm supposed to be happy in the future. That's why Nimrod mentioned that I wrote a book called Prompting Happiness that'll be out in a month. But the other thing that I try to do is think about how professional service providers are going to behave when they lose this war, because they will lose this war for sure. And to understand that, we need to think about the professional service deliverable. So veteran corporate lawyers will tell you that you come to them for advice, for their network, for their added value. But I call BS on that, because that is not what you pay for. You come into the room with a lawyer, yes, you might shoot the crap a little bit with them and ask some business questions, and you'll pay $500 for that half an hour. But what really gives them money is what you pay for the hours that their juniors spend on the deliverable. And the deliverable, unromantic as it sounds, is a Word document. And that Word document becomes payable when it turns into a PDF. If I'm in a bad mood and people ask me what I do, I say, well, I turn Word documents into PDFs. That's when I have meaning, because they're signed. And financial service providers create Excel sheets, and that's it. That's what they get paid for in droves. If my firm sells $400,000 a year, only about 10,000 of them are those fancy hours in the room where we give advice. 390,000 hours, the profitable ones, for the juniors who get paid less, they're the ones that create documents. And if you look at the professional service deliverable, it's actually diminishing in value, because a firm, any firm in economics, is able to charge a price for its product based on the information gap that it has vis-a-vis its client. So in 1980, the client thought that I'd go into Yigal Arnon's famous library and search Yigal Arnon's proprietary non-disclosure agreement templates, and they would pay me whatever I asked for because nobody else has access to that library. In 2005, they would have expected those documents to be on a computer, easily editable. In 2015, they had already had alternatives on Google. In 2020, I received signed SAFE agreements, simple agreements for future equity, financing transactions of millions of dollars that I would once charge for $25,000, $30,000 without question. They were signed because Y Combinator, a small accelerator in the US at the end of the day, said that that was the standard. 2025, client's going to expect those documents to be ready in seconds. Now, professional service firms are going to lose because they grow their associates in long career paths, and the associates aren't staying. They're millennials. They want to do other things. They're going to lose because they have a partnership structure. They're not even companies with equity. They have no incentive to invest millions of dollars in the future to improve. They have an incentive to invest in some legacy of a dead partner whose name is on the letterhead, or some of the money if they're risk averse. And they claim that they're one-stop shops, which is great because you can get all your services from them. But that also hinders their ability to adopt innovation, because maybe Nimrod is a tech expert and Hanan, who will speak later, is a tech expert, and maybe I do startups and I think about innovation, but let me tell you something about my real estate partners and my litigation partners. They're not going to adopt DocuSign so quickly. They're going to adopt it 5 years late. So they're also slow to move because of the structure of these firms. And if you look at consumer surplus, the Nash equilibrium being the price at which it's no longer worth it to be a lawyer. Let me just go be a venture capitalist or write a book, right? The bankers have an information gap. They have relationships with their clients. They can take $10,000 an hour, $1 million per deal, 100 hours. The management advisory services have an information gap. Nobody knows in Walmart how to penetrate the market in the Philippines. They'll just use McKinsey. Plus, there's an agency problem. The executives are scared. They'll pay McKinsey. The boutique firms, they'll build your family trust and they'll do your divorce and litigation and tax. Fine, they'll keep charging $1,500 a pop. The US corporate law firms are already down to $750 when we send them Israeli clients. And that's already hard to live in New York at that price. And when I look at this war, I know we're going to lose because behind the front line, I can see the dead bodies of the accountants and the auditors that already lost in 2000 when a new technology came out, stupid tech, Microsoft Excel and email. When that came out, it killed the profitability of the auditing service. And what humans do when they panic, first of all, they commit crimes. They backdate options, and you get the Enron scandal because they really need to pay those alimonies and go on that yachting trip at the end of the year. And then the world goes berserk, so it regulates. So you have Sarbanes-Oxley and updated GAAP and IFRS. And when the world regulates, you have a baseline for consolidation, and then you're starting to say, oh, Big Four, Big Four, Big Four. So now there's a monopoly, so they can recapture some of the information gap, some of the consumer surplus. But even that's not good enough, so now they have to diversify, and they're no longer auditing firms. Oh, no, we're not auditors. We provide a variety of professional services, and that's how you get consolidation and diversification. Israeli law firms are at the Nash equilibrium right now. Some lawyers are going to present to you, they're going to talk outside. We've been charging the same hourly rate since I joined my firm in 2008, and nobody will convince me otherwise. And if we increase the rate, we're giving discounts in that rate back to the rate in 2008. And the only difference is that the cost of living went up and the dollar went down. Now, how can lawyers fight back? Can they consolidate? Our firm merged with Tadmor Levy. Gross merged with Goldfarb. HFN is growing organically as fast as it can. Meitar is buying other firms in Israel all the time, and soon they will be, in my opinion, acquired by US firms once the regulatory loopholes allow it. They might diversify services, but they're not going to do it fast enough because they believe that law is for the lawyers and they don't have to do other things, and it's difficult to incorporate it into their service. They might do an internal adoption of AI and say that they partnered with Harvey, but that will be like a natural disaster to their DNA. The associates won't be so quick to use it. The clients will not be happy that they're not using it well, and it'll sort of change their structure and their DNA. They're working from home now, doing Zooms. It's all very different and difficult for a 500, 600-person law firm to change fast enough. Our solution is ARC. I believe that now is the time to build the professional service firm of the future, bottom up, to, with no shame, offer the entire arc of professional services, brokerage, business services, advisory services, the generation of basic legal documents, but also add negotiation scripts, outreach emails to investors, etc. Automate the transactions that the clients will always choose to do with a professional, with an experienced professional in the room, and not procure them directly from the internet, automate those deals and those deliverables. The client can receive an experience with ARC whereby they will sit with me in the room for that 1 hour that is valuable, but at the end of that 1 hour meeting, they will receive 85% of the entirety of the textual deliverables that they would have received in the transaction over the course of months. Emails to shareholders, WhatsApps to their spouses, negotiation scripts on the term sheet, one-pager variations, deck variations, the legal documents, the DD memo. Get to 85% and you can iterate with it afterwards with the machine, like you do with GPT, and change successfully a 400,000-hour law firm annually to a 25,000-hour professional service firm the size of PwC but built like Microsoft. This is the time to build it right now. And this is what we're doing at ARC, and I'll be happy to explain more about it outside of this hall. So thank you for your time.